A cellar, damp stone, a creak of rope, then a snap in the dark. No faces, no judge, just wood, iron, and the sickening certainty that something is about to give. Greetings, seekers of the strange. Welcome to Beyond Bizarre. I'm your host, taking you past normal, beyond weird, into the absolutely mind-blowing. Tonight, we descend beneath castles and courthouses to meet the iron legends of the Middle Ages. By the end, you'll know which devices truly haunted medieval Europe, what they did to the body, what they meant to the law, and which infamous contraptions are terrifying myths born centuries later. Fear loves a story, and the Middle Ages, plague, war, heresy trials, gave fear plenty to feed on. But torture wasn't random chaos. It was theater for truth, a grim, state-sanctioned performance used to extract confessions when ordinary testimony wasn't enough. In many regions, the law required a confession to convict. Torture was the twisted bridge to get there. Officials logged it. Doctors sometimes watched. Afterward, the victim might even have to repeat the confession in court, freely, as if iron hadn't spoken first. First, the classic everyone fears, the rack. Imagine a heavy wooden frame with rollers at each end. Wrists to one side, ankles to the other. A crank turns, tendons howl, joints separate. The rack's power wasn't gore, it was geometry. A few inches of pull could unseat shoulders, hips, and knees, injuries that lingered for life. Prisoners often remembered exactly what their examiners needed after a single session. Historical records show the rack was actually used, particularly at the Tower of London starting in 1447, where it was nicknamed the Duke of Exeter's Daughter. A grim cousin lived overhead, the strappado, hands bound behind the back, the victim hoisted by the wrists until shoulders threatened to tear. Sometimes the rope was dropped a short distance and jerked mid-air, magnifying the shock, snapping ligaments, leaving arms numb for weeks. Both devices show a medieval obsession with stretch and suspension, clean, efficient, and devastatingly effective. Next, the machine of spectacle, the breaking wheel. Public, theatrical, unforgettable. Condemned criminals were lashed to a cartwheel. Limbs were shattered with an iron bar in ritual order. In some sentences, the body was braided through the spokes and displayed at a crossroads, justice turned billboard. It was punishment, deterrent, and message. The state can unmake you bone by bone. Not every device was elaborate. Some were methods that paired simple tools with relentless pressure. Consider the boot, not a shoe, but a shin-crushing vise of wood or iron. Wedges were hammered between boards and bone. The pain was exquisite, bloodless, and intimately procedural. Or the thumbscrew, a portable press that flattened nails and fractured finger bones with a few quiet turns. Interrogators liked thumbscrews because they whispered. No big rig, no crowd, just a knurled handle and a confession tightening with every click. Now, the Tudor twist, the Scavenger's Daughter, a nightmarish counterpart to the rack. Where the rack stretched, this frame compressed. The prisoner knelt. Iron bands cinched the ankles, thighs, waist and head together, until the body folded into itself, chest crushed toward knees. Blood surged to the face. Veins blackened. Breath became a bargaining chip. It's a reminder that pain cuts both ways, pull or press, and that innovation thrives wherever cruelty is bureaucratized. And now, the part where legend and tourism fog the lens. The Iron Maiden, that coffin of nails with a serenely carved female face, feels medieval to the core, but it's a modern counterfeit. The most famous maidens were assembled in the 18th and 19th centuries from older bits of iron to thrill museum crowds and moralize about a barbaric past. The first historical reference to one was in the 1700s, long after the medieval era was over. German philosopher Johann Philipp Siebenkees likely invented the entire story of a 1515 execution by Iron Maiden in Nuremberg. These museum pieces were created by entrepreneurs who wanted to cash in on Gothic fiction's popularity and the romanticized horror of the Dark Ages. Iron Maidens began appearing in museums across Europe and America, pieced together from medieval scraps and displayed for paying customers. One even appeared at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Likewise, the notorious Pear of Anguish, a petalled, screw-expanding device said to rupture mouths. Its lurid descriptions appear post-medieval. Genuine examples tied to courtroom use are vanishingly scarce. The Spanish donkey, a sharp wooden horse straddled until injury, shows up most clearly in early modern and later sources. The headline, "The Middle Ages didn't need movie props to be cruel," but some of the most shocking showroom pieces were invented later to sell tickets and shudders. So what, then, was truly medieval and truly terrifying? The system. Torture was woven into procedure. It had rules: how long, how often, how to record the words. In some codes, a confession under pain had to be repeated days later, voluntarily, to count. Inquisitors tracked who turned the crank, how the body responded, when to stop before death muddied the case. The chill doesn't come from spikes, it comes from forms, from the clerk's calm hand noting a shoulder's dislocation as if totaling grain. When we strip the myths, the medieval chamber looks different, and in some ways more disturbing. No carnival contraptions, just wood, rope, iron, and rules. Pain administered by people with pens. That's the terror, not the spike, but the signature. Not the scream, but the ledger that made it lawful. And that's another journey. Beyond bizarre. If your mind is officially blown, smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Until next time, keep pushing beyond the ordinary.